Hello and welcome to the Patriot News and Interview channel. I am your host, Anthony Stephen Malone, the Rogue Warrior. This morning, I have a very special guest, the CEO and Director of Helping Homeless Veterans UK, Mr. David Wood. Good morning, David.
How you doing, Anth? Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you again, soldier. Happy days. Right. I would like you to explain to all my viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay, as Anthony said, my name's David Wood. I'm the CEO and Director of Helping Homeless Veterans UK. Helping Homeless Veterans UK was formed in September of 2019 using my own experiences of helping to house veterans over a number of years. I've been with various charities in the past to basically get to the stage where I'm at now with the knowledge that I have with legislation. And we've been going for just over 16 and a half months. And during that period of time, we have helped and assisted 107 veterans. So it gives you some idea of the scale of the problem, which is even worse at the moment because we're in the pandemic situation that we've got with COVID-19. So we're finding now that a lot of the cases we're getting are relationship breakdowns, mental health issues, and we're finding that a lot of the veterans that we're helping are being found not so much on the streets, but in their cars or sofa surfing, and it's getting quite severe out there at the moment. And to be perfectly honest, mate.
It's so what you're saying is you have noticed a massive increase in homeless veterans and veterans who need help because of COVID.
Absolutely. Just to give you some idea of the scale of this, back in, I believe it was December of 2017, the only time that any real statistics have come out with regards to homeless veterans was a survey that was carried out by the Royal British Legion in conjunction with the charity Shelter. And basically the idea of this, and you can find all of the reports online that you can Google it, but the idea of this was to try and get some idea of the scale of the problem that the country was facing with regards to homeless veterans. I was actually involved in a very small way with regards to that survey. They wanted to know my own thoughts on it. But the issue that we have, the Royal British Legion did this report and they estimated that there were 6,000 street homeless veterans in this country. And what I want your viewers to understand is, with regards to homelessness and homeless veterans, if somebody is sofa surfing and they've served our country, then they are homeless. In my eyes, they are homeless because they do not have the key to their own front door and a place that they can call their own. So when we're talking about 6,000 veterans, we're talking about 6,000 street homeless veterans throughout the country. I've seen various social media reports that there's 15,000, 18,000, etc., etc. And I think people are getting confused with adding together those that are sleeping rough on the streets with those that are sofa surfing, etc., etc. So the way I look at it at the moment, Anthony, is I'm basing my knowledge on the 6,000 veterans that the Royal British Legion have stated are out there. And the only reason why I'm using that is because it's the only time that a full-scale report has ever been carried out with regards to the seriousness of homeless veterans. We know the reasons behind homeless veterans. We've had enough experience. I've been involved over 5.5 years with helping and assisting over 300 veterans who are classed as homeless. Now, we know the reasons behind homelessness, and the biggest issue is the dreaded four-letter word, as I call it, which is PTSD. There is a lot of veterans who are coming out of the armed forces or have been out for even a long time, and PTSD is manifesting within themselves and their families, if they are living in a family environment, are not adapting to this. They don't know how to cope with this. They cannot cope with the changes that they're seeing with their loved one.
I think that's a very important point you brought there. It isn't just the individual or the serviceman with PTSD, it's his family and it's his children as well. It affects everybody.
Absolutely. And you know, you're absolutely spot on, Anth. And we've got to look at the bigger picture here with regards to mental health within our country. I am not qualified in any form of way with regards to mental health. We use experts who know how to deal with mental health within the veterans community to help and assist us with the veterans that we're helping and assisting into housing. So I am not qualified in any form of way. However, I have what's known as life experiences, because a little bit of a background about myself, I come from a very large military family. A lot of my family served in the Welsh Guards. My real father served in the Welsh Guards, my grandfather in the Welsh Guards, and my stepfather, he was 7RHA. My mother was WRAC, and my brother was Royal Military Police. So my immediate family, we are a big military family. However, when we talk about mental health, I'll give you an example with regards to my mother. Like I said, my mother served in the WRAC, and my mother, after the breakdown of her marriage to my stepfather, took her own life. But my mother suffered with mental health throughout all of her life due to a very abusive childhood, which was obviously compounded from her service. And likewise with my brother, who served in the Royal Military Police, he took his own life. It was myself that actually found my brother. And, you know, I understand the effects that mental health PTSD has on the family, because I've been through it all myself.
Yeah, I would like the viewers to understand that when you're talking from experience, not out
Absolutely.
of a book or a report. You've been there, seen it, and you've done it. You've experienced it. Experience is very important. So when people are speaking to you, you can draw on your own experiences and you can help the individuals who you're speaking to.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'm no expert. You know, I'm drawing on my own life experiences, but I've had cases where I've had veterans contact me very late at night, and they are literally, you know, a step away. They're sat there, and I remember one case very, very vividly that we dealt with the end of last year, where the veteran had reached out to a number of organizations and hadn't got what he needed, basically. And he Googled ourselves, or he did a Google search and came up with us. He was homeless. However, he'd used the last of his money to put himself into a B&B. And when he phoned me, he was sat there with a bottle of whiskey and over 100 tablets in front of him. And I had to make an immediate decision on how to deal with this veteran. And it's not a case of sitting there and giving broken promises. What that veteran needed was complete reassurance that what he was doing was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
And you might laugh at this because we laugh about it now. The veteran is absolutely top dollar and he's absolutely fine. But I actually gave him what we call the Sergeant Major's bollocking.
It works.
And
it
worked.
A soldier, a serviceman, that's what they understand.
That's exactly what he needed. This veteran left as a WR1. And, you know, you've got me who came out as a minor rank, and I'm actually giving him a major bollocking. Yeah. And it was only a few days afterwards that he turned around and he said to me, that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
So, you know, I then phoned up, we get a lot of help from all call signs. I'm sure the military community, the veterans community are well aware of the work they do. Likewise with Icarus Online, those are the two main organizations that we work with the PTSD sufferers. And it was great because I managed to get on the phone to Dan at all call signs that night, and he was straight on the phone to that veteran. And Dan came back to me an hour later and said, Dave, you did the right thing, because I was terrified that I was pushing this guy too far over the edge. But he actually came back to me and said, Dave, you did the exact right thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, it's all about how we deal with these things, how we deal with these issues. PTSD, getting back to homelessness, and I'm waffling on a bit here, but PTSD, it's a difficult area. There is not enough help out there. I'd like to say that things are improving from the reports that I'm getting with regards to the NHS and TILs and, the stuff that's being put in place. Things are getting better. I don't think it's happening quick enough. However,
that's a very important point you've just come up there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of help out there. It's obviously not enough. It's falling short. Okay, so if certain members of the government or politicians were watching this, what would you like to say to them?
It's a good point, Anth. I actually have quite a lot of dialogue with senior MPs in government with the work that I do. I've had meetings with Johnny Mercer. I've had meetings with Tobias Elwood, who, just to let everybody know, is a massive supporter of our organisation, and he's actually one of our local MPs down here in Poole in Dorset. And I've also had meetings at MOD with Mark Lancaster. And I'll be honest with you now, as I am with everybody, things are improving. However, things are not improving as fast as what I would like to see them improve. And I think there needs to be a lot more communication between the smaller organizations and charities like ourselves with senior MPs in government. Because the reason why I say this is we're the foot soldiers. We're out there on the streets picking these guys up and girls, and we're the ones that are getting their lives sorted out. And I believe that if the MPs came and spent a day with us, and I always make this offer in any emails and any letters, I always make the offer, come and spend a day with us, come and see the work we're doing, and come and speak to these guys and girls that we have helped or who are currently homeless. And then you can see, and then you can listen and hear their own experiences of why they're in the position that they are in.
I think that's very important what you've said there. Myself and with the Patriot team that I represent, we've had meetings with senior members of parliament as well. And if everyone was to contact their local MPs asking for an update on the situation from their MPs, I think that would help speed up things a lot. There's a lot of amazing little military groups and charities that are out there, but it's a sad thing when private citizens of the country have got to take up all of the slack to help military veterans who have served this country. All right, that help should be there. End of. Every veteran should have a roof over his head, food in his belly, and the option of being able to go to work. End of. That shouldn't even be open to negotiation. All right. So I'm calling on the people out there. Speak to your local MPs, ask them for an update. If enough people and enough MPs start obviously having a chat, then they come to the table. It all helps. All this is about is veterans. End of. The end game is to look after the veterans. It's not about egos, charities, or any of that. It doesn't matter. It's about the veterans. All right. And if people
you've hit the nail, and you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. And it's something that we stress all of the time. The work we do, it isn't about me. It isn't about us as an organization. It comes down to one thing and one thing only, and it's the veterans that need our help and assistance. They are number one, they are priority. And every single case we get come in, and I've had one come in this morning, and I've spent nearly an hour speaking to him, and he's only a young lad. He served 9 years, and I'm looking at my notes here, he served 9 years. However, his local authority have fobbed him off. But what they've forgotten is that he comes under the auspice of the military covenant because he's been out of the army for less than 5 years. And the thing with ourselves, and just changing the subject slightly of how we actually work, we work very closely with local authorities and councils because there is legislation in place that is being completely and utterly ignored, and it's been happening for too many years with these local authorities and councils where they're not prioritizing our veterans. Now, I want to stress that not every veteran that comes out of the armed forces is classed as priority need under housing legislation, okay? But if there is a need and there is an issue and there is a problem, then they should be being seen under the Armed Forces Covenant, which we all know is currently going through Parliament because they're trying to make it law, which is something I've campaigned from day one that it should have been law, because people need to be held to account if they do not adhere to the military covenant. There should be a system in place where if a local council doesn't adhere to the legislation within the military covenant, that the veteran concerned should be able to sue that local authority and council and hold them responsible for not carrying out their duty under law, under legislation. It doesn't happen at the moment, and it doesn't happen at the moment because the Armed Forces Covenant is only an act. It's not law.
Not law. It's going through the, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Enough people supporting and people speaking to their local MPs. Is this being passed through law? Who is supporting it? Importantly, who is not supporting it? They should be named and shamed as well.
Definitely.
Even if it is MPs. And I think the whole country should get behind supporting the bill so it is made into law. Then at least that way, the help needed to some of the most vulnerable veterans in this country who have served this country, they should be able to get the help then. So hopefully in the next month or so, we should hear about that.
I see, and I'll make this quite plain and simple now in the public domain. I see absolutely no reason why any member of the House of Lords or the House of Commons should not be voting for the Armed Forces Covenant to be made law. I see absolutely no reason, because these MPs and these Lords will all stand there at the cenotaph on Remembrance Sunday and they'll pay their respects to the fallen. We need to start concentrating in this country on the living. We have to.
Very important.
Because it hasn't been done for it hasn't been done for too many years now. And I'm a veteran myself, and I always will respect the fallen, as any person, any decent person in our society should. However, we need to change this, and we need to start concentrating on the living. If you go to America, and I know you've spent a lot of time in America, they worship their veterans.
Oh yeah, well, we
absolutely worship
very
them.
differently over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is what should be happening in this country. And our veterans should be able to walk down the streets with their veterans badge on or their medals on Remembrance Sunday, and people should be thanking them. And it's not happening enough. However, moving back to where we were, you know, with regards to ourselves, what we tend to do is if we believe a veteran hasn't been seen under the correct legislation, then we will get the veteran to contact their local authority and give permission for myself or the team to contact on his behalf.
Good.
And what we have is the knowledge of legislation.
Right.
So instead of the veteran having no clue at all about legislation being fobbed off, it doesn't work. When we contact them, they can't fob us off. because we quote the correct legislation,
And you get
and then they realize, and people say, how on earth, with so little money that your organization gets through donations from the general public, how on earth do you help and assist so many veterans? And that's the reason why, Anth, we deal with the local authorities and we put the pressure on them. And that's the thing. And if
David,
they don't do it properly, we name and shame them.
Mate, all you do is you're a bit like the rest of us, mate. Roll up your sleeves. Job needs to be done. You get it done. An important note on this one: if you can say a message or talk to any veterans out there or service personnel from any services that are going through a hard time at the moment, what would that message be?
Reach out. Reach out.
Exactly.
There is in this country over 2.5 million veterans, with their dependents over 4 million.
Yeah.
Reach out, pick up the phone. Don't do what my mum did. Don't do what my brother did, where they didn't reach out and tell us that there was a problem.
Yeah.
Reach out. You pick up the phone. I answer my phone, much to my partner's disgust sometimes, but I answer my phone at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
I totally get what
veterans
you I do it,
out.
and I get a lot of hassle off
Yeah.
you, and you're better after
Yeah.
that. But it's important. It has to be done.
But we might get the hassle off the women, but
Yeah.
by Christ, we wake up when we do wake up knowing that we've just saved that person's life because we've been there for them. And there is nothing better in this day and age than helping your fellow veteran.
Exactly.
Forget about the haters, forget about the trolls.
Yeah.
Social media is full of them. It's all about positive mindset.
Exactly.
I did a video last night, and I'm one of these people that doesn't believe in negativity. Negativity to me breeds positivity. And what we do in a nutshell is we pick up the veterans who are negged out, can't take anymore, and we turn them around, and everything that we do is positive.
Yeah.
And I can tell you some huge successful stories about veterans 2 or 3 years ago that we picked up off the streets that are now running their own self-employed businesses. They've got little babies, they're in new relationships, they've got lovely houses, driving around in new cars.
I will speak to you about that because we're going to have some of them on this show. On this show, we will have obviously politicians, senior military officers, generals and colonels, and celebrities. That's for entertainment. But there's a serious side to this channel, and that is giving the veterans a voice and a platform, including companies that are run by veterans. We want people to be inspired by there is some veterans that need help out there. There's veterans who have done very well for themselves. And I want people to look at this show, okay, and see the veterans who have overcome massive personal obstacles and have done well. I want other people to look at them and be inspired. That's what it's about. That's what this show is about. Right.
Well, and it's a privilege to be part of it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I know you as a personal friend, and I've known you for a number of years, but to be part of what you're doing here is an absolute privilege for myself, because what you're doing is you're giving me a platform to speak about my own issues that I've had in the past, but also to tell you and to tell the people out there that if you are struggling, there is help available. There is so much help. All you have to do is swallow that pride. And we are, as veterans, we are the most stubbornest people you will ever come across. I get that. I totally get that, because I'm one of them. But we have to swallow that pride and pick up the phone, because if you pick up the phone and you speak to a fellow veteran, you'll have the banter, you'll have the ball ache, but that's what it's all about. That's what's missing, because it's so ingrained in our minds because of what we've done and where we've been, and it's part of our culture, and we're missing that culture. When you come out onto Civvy Street, we're missing that banter. And I have an amazing team of volunteers, and most of them are veterans. And when we do fundraising, which obviously we can't at the moment, but when we go to events and we do fundraising, it is great fun. And we are so proud to stand in front of members of the public and tell them absolutely everything about what we are doing, because we are proud because of what we're achieving.
So
But pick up the phone.
If we've been there and we've served the Queen and country, then yeah, everyone should be given respect. But the last message is, if you're having any problems out there and you've been in the services and you're a veteran, reach out. It's not about egos. It isn't about attitude. Reach out, have a chat with somebody, because I guarantee you, you're not the only person out there who's having a bad day. We all get them. I get them, David. You get them as well.
Absolutely.
For people to realise, now we're speaking out, that it's okay to say you're not okay. Pick up the phone, pick up the dog and bone, and have a chat.
Yep.
There's people out there. Right, David, I'd like to say thank you so much for being on the actual show. Can you please stay on the actual line? I'm just going to thank my sponsors and all my supporters as well. The Dead Mammoth Coffee Company, outstanding veteran-owned company. Also, Sterling Timepieces. If you want to watch, have a look at Sterling. And Triangular Fragrance, New York, a veteran-owned company. She is a veteran. Look that one up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been emotional. I'll see you on the next show. Goodbye.